Day 2 of the NFL draft is here, and finally, it's our turn to participate, right? The Browns pick at 74 and 98. So I thought for the next hour or so as we get close to the start of rounds 2 and 3, we can just kind of hang out, talk about day 1 of the draft, sort of recap the first round a little bit, and then talk about who the Browns could be targeting in round 2. So we're going to sit back, relax, hang out with producer Patrick Seatman and I, and just talk draft, because the NFL draft, Patrick, it's just one of my all-time favorite sporting events in the entire year. Something about the draft, it's just so fun to watch people sit on their couches at home and go, am I moving to Houston? Am I moving to Cleveland? Am I moving to Charlotte? So who do you guys think is the best player in the draft remaining, right? Who is your top target, I should say, actually, for day 2? Because best player, unfortunately, is probably not going to happen for Cleveland, right? I don't see them finding the best player at 74. And Andrew Berry seemed to have shut down the idea of Cleveland trading up unless someone they absolutely love falls for some bizarre reason. That's really the only way I see that one happening. So with that being said, who is your top target for day 2?
Who is yours?
My top target for day 2, I'm thinking we might need to get a producer because the L3s aren't pushing across. You got to do the auto poll at the bottom right. There it is. Yeah, I think that's going to do it. My top target, though, for day 2 for the Browns, man, I'm thinking just best player available. And there's a couple guys at some spots that could be interesting, right? Do they go offensive tackle? Because they didn't pick up Jed Wills' 5th year, at least not yet. So do they just take a really good tackle and have him take over from Jed Wills in 2024 and save the $14 million that was his 5th-year option? Do they go wide receiver to replace Amari Cooper next year? Or do they go defensive tackle? It might not be the best player on their big board, but it's going to be the most impactful spot in 2023. That is sort of the big question they have to answer right now. Do they want to draft someone that's going to provide a big impact for this season, or go with their best player on the board for the long term? I don't have the answer to that question, and it's a very tough question to answer because they have put together a roster that is ready to win now. So you want to draft a tackle that might not even take a snap, right? If Jed Wills and Jack Conklin play all 17 games, your 3rd-round pick doesn't sniff the field. Or do you want to find a rotational defensive tackle? There are pros and cons to both sides here. So my top target, I love Kobe Turner from Wake Forest. Keeanu Benton, I don't think he's going to be there at 74.
It seems like you're making an argument to trade up right now, Petey.
So here's the thing. Cleveland has 8 picks in this draft. I feel very confident in saying they will not make 8 selections.
Yeah.
They added a lot of guys in free agency. I don't think they have 8 roster spots to give out.
Yeah.
So if you don't have 8 roster spots to give out, maybe you consolidate picks, whether that's moving up or moving back and getting 2024 picks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That could be it. Petey, I will say, you were talking about favorite draft moments from yesterday. Mine had to have been Will Levis.
Oh, I love it.
Sitting there.
I love it.
The look on his face was perfect.
Yep, I love it. So here at Chat Sports for night 1 of the NFL draft, we were here till the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah,
it's a grind. And I got home, and I was kind of wired. So usually it's like, you know when you're so tired you think you're going to get home and fall asleep, and then you can't fall asleep? I was all over Twitter just looking for Will Levis stuff.
Will Levis memes.
And I was retweeting and liking every single Kentucky fan's tweet of, one of them was great. It was like in the morning of the draft, and it was 10 hours from now, Will Levis will be a top 5 pick for the 2nd time in Kentucky football history. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be great. I'm living for it. Let me give some shout-outs right now. Sam Brown says Marvin Mims. Okay, I wonder if there's any bias behind that. Oren Smith says the defensive tackle from Wake Forest. That's Kobe Turner.
Awesome.
He is the conductor. That's his nickname. He majored in music and math, and he almost went the music route as a profession instead of football. So, awesome nickname. The conductor. Like, I'm in on that alone right there. Let's see. Jersey Dog says absolutely trade up as far as possible and get best available. Like, what if Jalen Hyatt is sitting there at 50? Do you want to bundle your 74, your 98, and a 4th-round pick? Go get Jalen Hyatt and feel like, we're done. Like, we won the draft.
Yeah.
For what we set out to do, we feel like we accomplished everything we needed to do. Maybe.
I would like that.
So with that being said, who is the best player left, right? Who is the best player available going into day 2? I feel like it's a lock that Joey Porter Jr. is going to be drafted by the Steelers. Wear his dad's number at pick number 32.
However, Steelers pass on him, all-time shambles for the fan base.
Oh my gosh, they will riot. It'll be like draft day where they actually pretend like fans went to the picket fence and everything, picket line.
Dude, you have to take it.
Uh-huh.
Like, that has to be the pick for Pittsburgh. Shout out Josh Miller, F-Pitt.
F-Pitt indeed. Shout out to Josh. We have actually a really fun Super Chat menu for today's show, and we'll throw that on screen next here because I think you guys might get a kick out of it. So here's the Super Chat menu for today. If it's your first time ever Super Chatting here, because YouTube now added that feature where it lets us know, I'm going to write you a handwritten letter. I wrote 3 letters last week. I hope they arrived by now. When I went to London, if you remember, back in February, the postcards I wrote I wrote everyone in Chat Sports a postcard from London. They just got here, some of them today.
Yeah, I got mine. I love mine.
Patrick got his today.
Ours. Yeah,
so took 2 months and change.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a bummer, but I will write handwritten letters to everyone that sends a first-time Super Chat in, no matter the amount. $10, we go to the Dog Bowl, of course, a staple here. And then here's the fun new wrinkle. If you remember, I've been mailing pictures of Big Ben crying to the Steelers for the last week or so, and I wanted to save the last couple of them for you guys. Signed crying Big Ben picture, and I can mail it to the Steelers with your name on it, or I can mail it to you, whatever you prefer. But I have some left over, so I figured we'd do some signed Big Ben crying after the Browns won the most recent playoff game in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Very interesting trivia right there. And after that, we have our Browns player comps, and then, of course, a $100 Browns beer bong if anyone wants to be a big baller. So that is the Super Chat menu for today's show. What do you guys think was the worst pick from round 1? We're just going to kind of hang out a little bit and talk draft, so be active in the chat and let me know. I'm looking at maybe Anthony Richardson right there at the bottom of the screen.
Anthony Richardson?
It's not the
You're
worst
not a
pick.
fan of him.
I'm not a fan of Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
That is why I'm not crazy about the selection.
Yeah.
I don't believe in Anthony Richardson as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
I will say, I think my favorite picks was probably what Seattle did. I know everybody's all
They
over
killed it.
Philly and what they did, but I think Seattle, you got the best corner and best wide receiver.
$20 Super Chat. Thank you. Let's go. All right. I love it. So, $20 Super Chat. WHCRS. Send it. Let's see the Steelers cry. Book it. That's one more going to the Steel City. I could toss your name on the letter if you'd like, or you can let me come up with something creative. I've always included some notes in there. You know,
Okay.
I always like, I think the last one I did was something about with Pickett's small hands, if you need me to come back, I'm just a phone call away. You know what I mean? Like Big Ben, he's always lurking in the shadows. I think Big Ben actually, he would go to training camp like undercover, but no one from the Steelers asked him to come undercover.
Yeah, he just
You know what I
showed
mean?
up.
It's like the social media crew is like, we did not arrange this prank.
Why
He's
is
actually
Big
just
Ben in
he's actually trying to sneak on right now. Like he thinks that no one's recognizing him with a fake mustache. Like Big Ben, you have 2 ice packs on your knees. We know who that is. You came in a wheelchair, Big Ben. It's obviously you. So, $20 Super Chat. Thank you so much.
The thing I love about Petey, everybody, he's a man of integrity. He's handwritten. This is not like a digital email.
No, all
This is
handwritten.
Handwritten. You see that hand on screen right now? Straight from that beautiful hand. I might send in a 20 just to get it.
All right, going back to the question, though. Worst pick from round 1. We're going to run through a mock draft in a little bit here and kind of break down what the Browns could do in round 2 and 3 here. I mean, the popular one is Jahmyr Gibbs or Jack Campbell.
Yeah, see, the thing is, they obviously went too early.
Yeah.
But I'm a fan of each of them. Like, I'm a fan of Jack Campbell. I think he's going to fit well with Detroit. But at 18, I don't know. But it's going to be one of those things, why'd they take him? He ends up being a Pro Bowl.
I mean, I literally think they have very good chances of being Pro Bowl players. Yeah. We like Jack Campbell here. We talked all about drafting Jack Campbell in round 2. Round 1 might be rich, but you know what? Like, the draft, it just kind of goes to show we get these rankings, and we think these rankings are the word from God.
Yep.
But then 2 years from now, we look back and go, we were so wrong on all these players.
Yeah.
So if Detroit thinks Jack Campbell is the next Brian Urlacher,
then go for it.
I'm not going to knock him that much for it. The only thing that just doesn't make sense is they signed players in free agency at those positions. So what was the long-term thinking? Why give Alex Anzalone a 3-year contract if you were going to go draft a linebacker that plays the same role, essentially?
Maybe it's like a...
Same for David Montgomery.
Yeah, David Montgomery. I mean, they're taking calls on DeAndre Swift. I know you talked about it on Browns earlier. But, I don't know. I feel like maybe it was just kind of like, maybe they're not like day one, like workhorse starters. Maybe they develop over time. But speaking about the movie Draft Day, they took an off-ball linebacker.
And a running back.
Come on.
I think
That's
Brad
hilarious.
Holmes, the GM in Detroit's like, God, this Sonny Weaver guy, this guy fucks. Let's do that.
Yeah.
I think he probably made those moves and then made a call and was like, can we get your pick for 3 seconds? And they're like, what are you, high? Absolutely not. And he's like, it works so well in the movie. What is this? Jordan Addison. Thoughts?
I like the Petey and I were actually kind of talking about it before we got on. It kind of seemed like a panic pick from the Vikings. They let the clock run all the way down. Jordan Addison, he's just a good football player. I hope he works out. Like, we'll see. I mean, he's not going to have a lot of tough routes, I guess, because of Jefferson and Hawkinson. Like, he's going to get pretty favorable matchups, so we'll see.
Let's talk a little bit about DeAndre Swift. We'll throw his stats on screen for you guys here because Jeremy Fowler from ESPN reported today that the Lions are taking calls on DeAndre Swift, and now we have a connection to the Browns because Cleveland could use another running back potentially. They'd at least be, I think, interested in knowing what the price is for a guy like DeAndre Swift. So when you think about replacing Kareem Hunt's role in this offense, that could be Jerome Ford, or maybe you want to add a guy like DeAndre Swift, right? Now, here are his career stats. He has never been an uberly productive guy for Detroit, and maybe that's why they look to replace him. I liked him as a fantasy football pick, I thought, but 542 rushing yards last year. He's been great as a receiving back, and that's what Cleveland would use him for, right? You have Nick Chubb between the tackles. You have Nick Chubb on first and second down. If you want to bring in DeAndre Swift on like 3rd and 5 as a potential dump-off in the flat because nothing's open down the field, that's a very good role for him. So now the question is, I have 2 questions asked, actually. The first, the 3 maybe. The question, though, I really have is, why did Detroit go draft his replacement with the number 12 pick?
Yeah.
Are there some character concerns, right? Is there something about him in the locker room that's not going to sit well with other teams? I think that's a fair concern to have.
Yeah.
The other thing is, what's it going to cost? Probably not much. I'm thinking maybe a 7th. I'm talking about a running back on the last year of his contract.
I said 6. That's what kind of came to. I would have been shocked if it was 7th, though. No doubt.
And then the third question, should the Browns trade for DeAndre Swift? This is where I bring all of you guys in the loop here. Get you guys in on this action. Do you think Cleveland should explore a trade for DeAndre Swift? Because let's be honest, I'm not going to not be excited. We're talking about a really good, we're talking about a good receiving back. I don't think really belongs in that sentence just yet, but he is a good receiving back. He is good. And that offense just got better, I think. Does it not get better? So I'm in.
Just get another playmaker.
Yep. So let's see what you guys are saying here. Joshua Miller, yes. Send them our later 5th-round pick. I don't even think it cost you a 5th.
Would you do that 5th?
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't do a 5th?
I would keep the 5th. I really would, actually. I think you can go draft a running back with a 5th.
There are great running backs.
Who might be better, or if he's not better, you at least have him for 4 years because you're not re-signing DeAndre Swift, most likely.
Technically cheaper than Swift since he has a higher round.
Right, he was a 2nd-round pick out of Georgia. So I would do like a 2024 7th.
Yeah.
And you know what? That could probably get it done. I remember when N'Keal Harry, a 1st-round pick, keep in mind, got traded from New England to Chicago last year. Now, he was not as productive in his career, but he was a future 7th-rounder.
Oh, that was a future 7th-rounder for Harry? Yeah.
I don't think it's going to cost you much. So I don't think you have to worry about what the price is. The question is, do you want DeAndre Swift? If you do, I think he's up for grabs, and you don't have to make a very competitive offer. And if you do, then we're passing on it. What do you guys think? Jersey Dog says bring him in. Colton Schindler says potential Chase Young and Swift. We talked about Chase Young on yesterday's video. We can kind of bring it up again here. Chase Young and Montez Sweat appear to be on the block. They're both entering the last year of their contracts. Why did Washington not pick up Chase Young's 5th year?
So weird.
The only reason I could come up with is it's not because of the injuries. I think Washington did not pick it up because they might have some character concerns. And I know that's a bit premature for me to start speculating on someone I've never met before in person, but the rehab took a long time. And I wonder if things did not go to plan because maybe Chase Young wasn't doing everything the organization wanted him to do to get back on the field as soon as possible. He's played in just 12 games the last 2 years.
Speaking about a Browns legend, Daron Payne, I don't believe they picked up his 5th-year option.
No, they extended it.
Oh, they did extend it?
Yeah. Daron Payne, he's off the market, unfortunately. Yeah. But Montez Sweat, he's a very productive former first-round pick. Out of Mississippi State, he put up 8 sacks last year. That was one off his career high for a single season. I think Montez Sweat actually might not be a flashier name than Chase Young. We're talking about, a 2nd overall pick versus like a 28th or something, wherever Sweat went. But Montez Sweat for 4 years has been a very productive player for Washington. So that could be something to keep an eye on here. You walking away for a moment? Okay. So with that being said, what position is the biggest need for Cleveland? What are we thinking here? Defensive tackle, wide receiver, linebacker, safety? Get in the comment section right now. Let me know what you guys are thinking for the biggest position of need for the Cleveland Browns. The Klimto, why did they not pick up his 5th year? Because he's missed more games than he's played. This isn't rocket science, and his most recent plays sucked. Bad combination. I would agree with everything you just said right there if he wasn't the 2nd overall pick, right? The 2nd overall pick has a lot of value to a team in terms of what they believe he can become in the future. So you can pick up his 5th year option, cost you $17 million, and if he plays well, great. You got him for one more season after that. If not, well, you didn't pick up his 5th year, and the franchise tag is going to cost you about $5 million more. So I understand, he missed time. He hasn't been good since his rookie year. He hasn't been available. Seems like a no-brainer. You don't pick it up. Yeah, if that was the 18th pick in the draft, for sure. But Chase Young, a 2nd overall pick, there is belief that Chase Young can be one of the best pass rushers in football for the next 10 seasons for Washington. So I think it's more than just he missed time the last 2 seasons. I think it goes deeper than that. So I'm very curious to know what the outcome is for Chase Young and if he ends up getting moved. If I had to make a prediction, I think he's a mid-season trade.
What do you think he goes for?
I don't know.
You think it's a 1st?
I thought if he got traded yesterday, it might have been like a 1st-round pick swap.
Yeah,
for example, Chicago. They were at 9. Washington was at 16. They swapped 1st-round picks, and Chase Young goes to the Bears.
Yeah, okay.
But now that's out the window.
I'm pretty sure also PFT and Big Cat agreed on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, see, I didn't even see that part. We're feeling a linebacker. Several defensive tackles and linebacker on 1-year deals, and linebackers should be priorities.
Anyway,
Trade Schwartz for Swift. Funny guys.
Siaki Ika, anyway.
I'm passing.
You're
I do not want him.
I was going to say, what if he's available?
I don't want him.
Why is that?
I don't think he's going to be a good football player in the NFL.
Why is that? You're just not out on him?
He's not very athletic. So for round 3, I'd like to find someone who can play close-ish to 3 downs.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll ever be a 3-down player.
No, he's a big dude.
He's a big dude. He regressed this past season, which that's not like an immediate throw him out the window red flag, but he regressed. Poor athleticism, not a 3-down player in round 3. I'd like to at least get close-ish to it. I know that's kind of a reach anyway. And I think he's just sort of a tree stump, which the Browns sort of do need. So I don't hate the idea of just getting someone to sit in the middle of the defensive line.
Yeah.
But there's no movement to him, I feel like.
No.
So I'm going to pass on the Baylor defensive tackle. All right, so we are going to run through a mock draft here. Let's do that.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So let's quickly recap what happened in the first round of the NFL draft last night. Change that one, yeah. then you get moved over?
I got it.
Okay. So we had Bryce Young go first overall, right? No surprise.
Yep.
And then the Texans.
How about
clap
that,
it up.
Petey?
Like,
seriously.
Really.
I mean,
they used the Browns pick to get it done, but bravo.
Yeah.
Like, they made the most of their resources.
Yep.
They had a decision to make, C.J. Stroud or Will Anderson. Why not both?
Yeah, why not both?
So they got both. So bravo, and give credit to Houston for nailing those draft picks. Richardson, I just don't think he's going to be a good quarterback. But a part of me does like this pick for Indy because at least they're not getting like a non-mobile quarterback, which they've only had.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, this is the first time they got some
Like,
swagger at the
you
quarterback.
went Peyton Manning to Curtis Painter to Josh Freeman. Remember Josh Freeman?
Yeah. Jacoby Brissett's not
Then
that
Jacoby Brissett, we know,
mobile.
is not that actually mobile. You had Andrew Luck. He's athletic. He's not mobile.
Phillip Rivers.
Matt Ryan. You had
Sam Ellinger.
it was bad. So at least they're getting someone who can run.
Yeah.
Devin Witherspoon to Seattle.
I
This
love it.
is the new Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
Him and Tariq Woolen.
I love the picks out of Seattle. I mean, best corner, best wide receiver.
Shout out to the Arizona Cardinals. They got this down. They got Paris Johnson. They are protecting Kyler Murray. They traded back. They traded back up. Tyree Wilson to the Raiders. Sneaky good value. I think Wilson's going to have a good future in this league.
He is so big.
Like, he is so bendy and lengthy.
I love Tyree Wilson.
Bijan Robinson is a Falcon and running back at 8 of choice, but he's a really good football player.
I will say this about running backs being taken higher up in the last couple drafts.
Yeah.
You think about it, they've kind of all worked out.
I think everyone thinks it's so cool to say, don't get a running back in round 1. You're telling me Christian McCaffrey's not good?
Saquon?
Like,
Zeke.
The
he
issue
worked
isn't
out
really picking a running back in round 1. It's overpaying them too early.
on their second contract.
Yes.
But taking one?
But, like, you get Bijan for 5 years on his rookie contract.
The first 2 years, Bijan's going to be a top 5 running back in the NFL.
I'll tell you right now, take him round 2 in your fantasy football drafts.
Yeah, because
He's
though they
gonna be
got
there.
Cordarrelle and
Yep.
Algier, he'll get a lot.
All right, moving on. Jalen Carter at 9. Maybe this is the steal of the draft. He could be the best player in this entire draft. And he went 9. But does he love football, right? There are all these crazy ideas, if you will, theories out there about Jalen Carter as a person. Darnell Wright is off to Chicago. He'll be the right tackle for Justin Fields. Peter Skoronski goes down to Nashville. If you're getting drafted by a team, getting drafted by the Titans would be fun. Get to go live in Nashville.
A lineman.
I know.
Like one of those big old boys down there.
The big boys in Nashville, they love to go to Predators games. They get on the
Chugging
Jumbotron,
beer.
chugging beers. Not a bad spot to be. And then
that's gonna happen.
Jameer Gibbs. Did you need to get him at 12?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think they panicked. I don't know what happened there in Detroit. Lucas Van Ness is another with or without Aaron Rodgers, they're going defense in round 1. And he's a young prospect. He does not have a lot of experience. He will need to develop, but he's got a really high ceiling. Broderick Jones is the new left tackle for Kenny Pickett and the Steelers. I'm not just saying this bias. I actually don't like Broderick Jones all that much as a prospect.
Yeah.
He's not very athletic. So for round 1, it seems like this is going to be a guy that gets beat a lot and that has to hold a ton.
I love that. Because think about it. You look at Broderick Jones, think about the name left tackle out of Georgia. You're like, this guy's got to be good.
Yeah.
Like, he's huge.
You
big
think it
dude.
is.
You think it is. There's some red flags.
If Broderick Jones was a left tackle from NC State, I don't think he goes round 1.
Not a bad take.
Yep.
Not a bad take.
Okay, Will McDonald is off to the Jets. Aaron Rodgers, new team.
Draft
Same
defense.
shit. Drifty defense, baby. Emmanuel Forbes, what are they doing?
Especially with
He's 160 pounds.
Christian Gonzalez being the next pick.
Yeah, I don't get that. Because Christian Gonzalez, he was actually my favorite corner in this draft. He's 6'2". He runs a 4.3, 840. He is just that rare
Super
blend
fluid.
of size and speed that do not come around every year.
You do realize Belichick, this is the best corner in the league right now.
Yep, I
he
love
hasn't
Christian
played a game.
Gonzalez.
Yep.
Jack Campbell, you know what? When you are faced with an opportunity to go running back and linebacker in the first round, you have to do it.
You have to do it.
Kalijah Cansey, I'm not going to say that he's like another defensive tackle that came out of Pitt about 10 or so years ago.
No, we're not going
We're
there.
not going there, but he is an awesome athlete, and he's 280 pounds. Jackson Smith and Jigba,
Great pick.
I mean, like just good picks from Seattle, good players. Devin Witherspoon and JSN, they could be two of the best players in this draft.
To me, it's the best receiver, best corner, and plus it's like they're not going into rooms where they need to be the man. Like they have Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant already, and they already have a Julian Love's going to be playing nickel. Then for JSN, you're going into
DK Metcalf,
Tyler Lockett to be a mentor.
You definitely just take over Lockett. Well, he's not the same type of player as Lockett, but you're filling that not role, but like you're filling his void, if you will. It's DK Metcalf and JSN for years to come.
Good picks.
Quentin Johnston, I think this is a bad pick for the Chargers. I think Quentin Johnston's actually a good player. I just think they should have gone speed with Zay Flowers for Justin Herbert.
Because now they have like three of the same receivers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're all the same archetype. There's big, kind of not really too fast besides Mike Williams, but interesting.
Zay Flowers to the Ravens, credit to Baltimore. I think Zay Flowers might be the best receiver in this class. I love him coming out of BC.
Baltimore, probably the biggest winner yesterday. Like, they have Lamar back.
They were big winners.
They were big winners.
That sucked.
Yeah.
Moving on. Jordan Addison, the Vikings. Patrick, the floor is yours.
Good, not great. I think that's just keep it short and sweet.
Panic pick.
Yeah, good, not great. Good player, not really a position in need.
Deonte Banks, I know that he's really physical and nasty. I just wonder sometimes, like, yeah, you're a nasty Big Ten corner, but you get to play Rutgers and Purdue.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier to be nasty there.
Yeah.
You can't do that to DK Metcalf.
Yes.
He's not going to put up with that.
Hey, Big Ten. Big day yesterday.
Yeah, they did indeed. Dalton Kincaid, I'll tell you exactly what happened here.
Hate this pick.
Oh, I love it. Ready?
Oh, you like it?
Here's what happened.
Go for it.
Buffalo has watched Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce win in the playoffs year after year and thought, let's go get our own Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
And they got the best receiving tight end in Kincaid from Utah.
Okay, see, I was kind of going up like, they're going to run a lot of two tight end sets now, and Knox and Kincaid can't really block. But him just as a pass catcher,
that's his role.
He's a weapon.
Yep. Mozzie Smith, I know it's not a fun pick when you go defensive tackle on the interior side in round one, but this is a good move in the trenches for Dallas. Anton Harrison replaces Juwan Taylor in Jacksonville to protect Trevor Lawrence. Miles Murphy, awesome in 2021. Then this guy named Brent Venables left to take the head coaching gig in Oklahoma, and he regressed last season. So high ceiling but low floor as well type of player. Same for his teammate, Brian Brzee out of Clemson as well. If he can stay healthy, really good, big, athletic interior defensive lineman. He just never has put together a full season, I believe, down in Clemson. Nolan Smith, how does he go to the Eagles at 30? Unfair.
Literally the Georgia Bulldogs 2.0.
Yep, it is. They have Nakobe Dean, Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, and now Jalen Carter.
It's incredible.
Nolan Smith might be like the best leader right when he walks into that locker room. And that's a room full of veterans.
And that's a room just full of, I'm about to say it's dogs.
Yeah.
Like legit dogs on defense.
And then to round it out, Felix Enrique Uzama, the edge rusher from K-State. I'll tell you exactly why this pick was made. You ready? You ready?
You're going to take the words out of my mouth, I feel like.
They just wanted to pander to the home crowd.
100%. It was a total pander pick.
It was a total pander pick. They're unveiling the Lombardi Trophy, and they go, let's go with the K-State guy.
Let's go with the hometown kid.
That's exactly. I don't think he's because of that now. If he went round 2, Pro Bowl player, but because he was a pander pick, he's not going to be a good guy anymore. So I'm sorry, Felix. The Chiefs kind of screwed you, actually.
100%.
So with that being said, let's jump into the mock draft now, ladies and gentlemen. Here, so I'm not going to have any trades. I'll try and keep it a little, plain Jane. But I went Marvin Mims at 74. This has gotten a lot of traction lately. He's 5'11", a $183, a 2-year starter for the Sooners. He's a burner. He is a deep threat player. 4.38 40-yard dash. He averaged over 20 yards per catch between 2021 and 2022. So he is a big play machine. He is a deep threat. And I think the Browns might look at this like the Martin Emerson pick last year, where do they need a wide receiver? No. I don't even know what kind of role Marvin Mims would have in his rookie season. But is Amari Cooper going to be here for a long time? Probably not. So you could start a new young receiving core with Mims, Elijah Moore, and DPJ. Now, the Athletics' Dane Brugler had this to say on Mims. Mims must prove himself versus press man coverage and expand his route running inventory with improved stem balance / footwork, but his bread and butter will always be his field-stretching speed and finishing skills. He will add an explosive element to an NFL offense as a rotational rookie receiver and punt returner. Now, if we're looking at the top receivers still on the board here from our very own Tom Downey at Chat Sports, Josh Downs and Jalen Hyatt, we talked about them at 42. That's not going to happen at 74. Tyler Scott, I don't think so. Now, Cedric Tillman's interesting. Cedric Tillman went to my alma mater, Tennessee, so I have a lot of bias when I come in here and say this.
I like him.
He's a great receiver. Like, he was the best receiver on Tennessee's football team last year until he went down with an ankle sprain, had to get a high ankle rope surgery, whatever it's called, and then Jalen Hyatt just stole the show, and Cedric Tillman sort of got lost in the dust, but he was the number one wideout, so he is going to be a very good sleeper pick for someone. He's a great football player. He doesn't have elite speed or elite size, but like Amari Cooper maybe a little bit, he's just a well-rounded receiver.
Yeah, and that's a tough surgery to go through.
It is, and he opted to get the surgery so he could return that season.
Yes.
So you're talking about a good locker room guy. I don't knock college guys.
He's a bigger dude. Right?
He's a big dude.
Yeah,
I don't knock college players for doing what's best for them for the pros, but I also do give brownie points to those who stick around for their college teammates.
Yeah, me too.
So I like it. So with that being said, let's move on to our number 98 pick. We got him, Kobe Turner.
To be a dream pick.
I love it.
This
I
has
continue.
to be popping a bottle tonight.
You know what's funny is I did my mock draft before round one. It was 2 days ago. It was his birthday that day.
Oh, really?
He just turned, I don't know, 24 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
He's 6'2". He's 293 pounds. Now, he was a 3-year starter at Richmond before transferring to Wake Forest. His 3-cone drill, which I know this sounds pretty much in the weeds, was a 7.08. For reference, like Aaron Donald ran a 7.01, I think, a 7.02.
Yeah, he beat him.
So he is right there in terms of speed with nearly 300 pounds of weight. That's why I'm in on Turner, and I think Andrew Berry values athletic defensive tackles over tree stumps, as I call them, defensive tackles. 43.5 tackles for loss in his in 51 games in his career. I'm a big fan of Kobe Turner as a prospect, and I think he would do wonders on this defensive line for the Cleveland Browns because I don't know who's going to be standing next to Dalvin Tomlinson come week 1, and it very well may be a player drafted today. Here's the write-up that Brugler had on him, by the way. Turner is a tad undersized and is guilty of freelancing out of his run fits, but he plays with bouncy feet, forceful hands, and affects the game with his relentless effort. He projects as a rotational 3 technique in the NFL with potential to be more. Now, the top defensive tackle / lineman still out there, Adetomiwa Adebawore out of Northwestern. Long shot that he's there at 74. But hey, I come here to serve as a reminder. No one thought Nakobe Dean would get out of round 1 last year. And when he did, that might be pick number 33. And then he fell to to round 3. Now, the injury concerns did play a factor, but it does go to show the draft is unpredictable. Keeanu Benton, I don't think he's going to be there either, but hey, we can live, we can dream. Siaki Ika, no, we're passing. Javon Dexter, I like him more than Ika. I think he is a more athletic interior defensive tackle. So, I think it goes Benton, Dexter, and Turner. I just don't anticipate Benton or Dexter being there at 74.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think the biggest position of need is for the Browns? Is it what's going to be the most impactful for 2023, defensive tackle? Or is it what's best for this team long term, right? Getting a safety to maybe replace Grant Delpit if they don't re-sign him in free agency because he's entering a contract year. Is it adding another wide receiver, right? I can be persuaded into a bunch of different positions. Moving on to our round 4 selection, I'm going to go with linebacker Nick Herbig. So he sort of played the outside linebacker role for Wisconsin, a 3-year starter in Madison, just a very productive player in college. He might not have the best size. He's 6'2", 240 pounds, but he's got a good bag of tricks because he had 21 career sacks. You don't luck your way into 21 career sacks in the Big Ten. That's just not a thing. Now, I think he'll be an outside linebacker in the NFL, which for a 4-3 front like Cleveland, it's not the best schematical fit. But I think about what Andrew Berry said to the media before the draft, right? when he talked about horse traits versus goose traits, right? And Seeps, what he said was a goose can run, but not very fast. A goose can swim, but not really well.
Yeah.
And a goose can fly, but not very high.
Yeah, okay, I agree.
A horse can't really swim all that well. It can
yeah.
kind of paddle.
Yeah.
Horse can't fly, but it can run. And it can run fast. So if a guy has one trait, like a horse trait, they'll go and pick that one trait and think, we want to get someone who's great at one thing and not a goose, who's okay at a couple of things. Herbig might kind of, be someone that the Browns fall in love with as a result. Now, as for the Athletics write-up on him, they said Herbig isn't built to handle multiple gaps or a line in closed areas in the NFL, but he has the explosive get-off, hand usage, and backfield instincts to pester quarterbacks. While currently not a true every-down NFL player, his impact will be felt as a sub-rusher and offers additional value if he evolves his off-ball skills. So in round 4, I found a horse trait, and maybe Andrew Berry agrees. Then at 126, I'm going to go offensive tackle here, actually. This is Old Dominion's right tackle, Nick Saldiveri. He's 6'6", 318 pounds. He was a 3-year starter. No, I did not watch him in college. I cannot say I watched a ton of Monarch football last fall. But he has 34 career starts. He did not allow a sack in 2022. This might be either a pick for a new swing tackle to kind of give James Hudson some competition, or maybe it's you know what, we're not going to pick up Jed Wills' 5th year. And if Saldiveri looks good in his rookie year as a backup, maybe we give him that job, or we just go and start fresh and pick a new left tackle. Now, the scouting report on him, he's a sleeper prospect who moves well and tested like it too. He's got good balance along with an ability to feel the rush well, our Tom Downey puts it. Length issues could lead to start at guard. He's talking about his arm length right there. Can he meet defensive ends at the point of attack, or are defensive ends meeting him? Now, the write-up includes this. Saldiveri needs to refine his aiming points and recovery skills to combat NFL strength, but his mental approach and athletic body control will keep his head above water. He is a scheme-diverse NFL prospect capable of backing up multiple positions on the line. With that being said, who is your top target for day 2 in this draft class? Let me know who it is down in the comment section below. Jalen Hyatt's awesome. Josh Downs is awesome. I don't think they're going to be there for 74, but we can kind of live and dream because that's the NFL draft. Crazy stuff happens all the time. Yeah. I think Keeanu Benton is probably a little bit more realistic and a good prospect too, right?
I still think the Browns are trading up, Petey.
You think so?
I mean, because how many did you say?
8 picks.
8 picks, and how many of the 53
I counted.
Filled?
I think there are somewhere from 6 to 9 roster spots available. Right? You have all your locks. And so if you've got, on the low end 6, you really want to draft 8 guys just to put 2 on the practice squad, and potentially they get signed by another team mid-season?
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you drafting players you don't think have an actual numerical spot on this roster?
And maybe you could take how many 5ths and 6ths do they have?
They've got 2 thirds, 2 fourths, and 2 fifths.
So maybe you take 2 fourths and a third, and you move up to high second round of this year.
Yeah.
And then maybe you take a 4th, trade it back for a pick next year because they have limited draft capital next year.
So that's the thing. I'd rather them move back. I know that's not fun in the moment.
So
we want to enjoy this day, but I'd rather see them move back from 74
to get picks for next year
and get someone's future third.
Hey, if Levis keeps falling or Hendon Hooker falls,
I would, yeah. That is my dream because next year they will have less to spend in free agency, I predict. So they will be much more reliant on the draft to fill out their roster.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then you could maybe use some more day 2, early day 3 picks. So that's why I'm in favor of trading back. This year, the Browns, they're looking at the draft as just extra credit. They don't need to fill any holes in this roster.
Yeah.
They're looking for guys who can contribute and come off the bench if an injury pops up or play some nice special teams. But this roster is set pretty much.
Yeah.
So if you're not looking to find a starter this year, you might be looking next year. So get some picks for next year. Super Chat menu right now. We have 1 Super Chat on the board. We're already sending 1 signed letter or signed picture of Big Ben crying to the Steelers. Every $20 super chat, we will send another one over to the Steel City. First-time super chatters, I'm going to write you a handwritten letter. I know that sounds a bit personal, but I'll tell you the best drug in the world is getting mail. When you open your mailbox and there's something that's not junk mail or a bill, it's euphoric, and you chase that high for weeks.
Because it's different than getting a text or
it's amazing.
Something on the phone, authentic.
You get to open it. You get to sit down and read it. The handwriting. You get to try and read it. I don't have the best handwriting.
Big Ben crying picture.
Yeah, so I went to Walgreens and I printed out a whole bunch of Big Ben crying on the bench. And so what I want to do is every $20 super chat, we'll sign it and mail it to the Steelers. We already got one in, so if you want to send another one over to help space it out so they get mail like every day for the next week or so, let's get it done. $50, you get a Browns player comp. Keith Niergarter, bow down to him. I should have started the whole live show off with a round of applause for everyone who helped us slay Steelers talk so we can go live during the NFL draft here. Afforded the opportunity. Thanks to all of our super chatters. So if you want to help support the show, super chats go a long way, but by no means do feel pressured to do so. We got Kid Wilson in the chat. I feel like I haven't seen Kid Wilson in a minute. Hendon Hooker, I'll tell you what, Hendon Hooker is going to have a better NFL career than Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. Okay. You know how I know that? Because when I watched him play those two guys in college football last year, he looked leaps and bounds ahead of them.
So have you seen the video of Hooker throwing?
Yeah.
So when I'm watching him, big frame type of dude, I know people say Mickey Mouse, 25 years old, torn ACL. He just looks like you see somebody who playing basketball and you're like, dude, that guy's got just a pure jumper. He's a pure thrower of the football.
Can I throw something your way?
Love it.
The idea of he's 25, what are we doing here? I get it. It's not Brandon Whedon old. He's not 28.
28, yeah.
25. How has drafting young, immature-ish quarterbacks gone lately?
This isn't the NBA.
Zach Wilson.
Yep.
Trey Lance.
Baker.
Maybe there is something to, sure, it's an extra 2 years or so.
Yeah.
But at least they're coming in, and they're a lot more competent to play in the National Football League. Marshall Green stepping down from our Giants channel. Marsh, who do you think the Giants get early round 2? Which receiver, I should ask?
I want Jonathan Mingo.
Jonathan Mingo.
That's who I want.
Wrong answer. It's Jalen Hyatt.
It's Jalen Hyatt?
That's our sweet prince.
57.
Oh, 57? I thought they were earlier.
You guys are both wrong. It's actually Josh Downs.
I love Josh Downs, too.
You would be the New York Smalls. You would no longer be the New York Giants because you would have 5 receivers under 6 foot.
But then you get to say third and down.
Keith, I don't have the player comps in today. I don't know how to explain this, but we have a whole new graphic package for the NFL draft, and the player comps, they did not get integrated for the NFL draft. So Myles Garrett is the player comp for Keith Niergarter. I'm going to have that for next week's live show. But this week, because we got all these new graphics for the draft, that unfortunately was not carried out. I don't know how best to eloquently put it. Oh, a deal for Marshall Green. What's going on?
If we get a $20 super chat, I'm doing a beer shot.
Wow, yeah.
Petey.
$20
What
super
if?
chat, I'm
Yep.
doing a beer shot fund.
What if?
It's draft day. Let's party, Brownies. It's your time to shine, baby.
Finally.
What if we make it 50 for a race?
50 for a race?
50
for a race. Deal. You're on. $50 super chat. $20, it's just Marshall Green. $50, it's a race between Marshall and I in shot
100.
fun.
We can make it a 3-way.
Hundreds of 3-way.
Hundreds of 3-way. We're
Beer
all gonna
bong
get
and
on
2
screen.
shot funds. There it is. Okay. Let's see what the chat is saying. Jason Kimball. I like Darian. DTH would be a nice backup to Watson. Let's see what else.
DTR.
Dorian Thompson Robinson.
Yeah. I don't hate him as a late.
I think Dorian Thompson Robinson is going to be a Pro Bowl quarterback or out of the league in 4 years.
Bold of him.
That is the window for him.
See, it's so
But there
funny.
will be. He will not be average. He will not be average.
I think he's Tyrod Taylor. So I think he's the definition
Oh,
of
shit.
average.
Yeah, every quarterback is just a different version of Kirk Cousins.
Yes.
DTR is just like
It's like
UCLA Kirk Cousins.
yeah, like,
The whole league is just a bunch of different Kirk Cousins. Like, for example, Will Levis is pouty Kirk pouty,
cocky Kirk Cousins.
Richardson, fast Kirk Cousins.
Mac Jones, young Kirk Cousins.
Bryce Young, short Kirk Cousins.
Jimmy Garoppolo, handsome Kirk Cousins.
C.J. Stroud.
He kind of plays like Kirk a little. Like
He's just Kirk Cousins.
He is just Kirk Cousins.
He's Kirk Cousins.
Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins with a better brand.
Yeah. Who else we got there? Justin Fields, swaggy Kirk Cousins.
Swaggy Kirk Cousins.
Swaggy Kirk Cousins. Okay. We should have started the show off. Shout out your city, by the way. Where is everyone watching from right now? If we get some city shout-outs going in the chat right now, I'll give some shout-outs. We got 123 people hanging out with us. Like the video. If we get more likes, YouTube pushes it to more people, and it just helps grow the channel. So if you enjoy what you're watching right now, liking the video actually goes a long way to help signal boost what we're doing here so more people can join in, the channel grows, and the beautiful YouTube circle of life, yada, yada, yada. Keith is tuning in from Germantown. We got Kid Wilson in Knoxville. I love it. Jeremy's in South Dakota. Levi's at work in Mentor, Ohio. We got Homer Simpson in Orlando, Florida at Universal potentially. We have Tampa Bay, lower half of Jersey from Jersey Dog. Jason's in Bakersfield, California. We have Defiance, Ohio from Patriot. Keep getting those city shout-outs coming in. Pat's out in Dayton, Ohio. We've got more Ohios coming in. Love to see it. Love, love, love to see it. So we got the Super Chat menu, guys, for everyone up on screen. If you want to, throw something our way, we have a fun challenge from the Giants host for $50 Super Chat, a shot fun race. But with that being said, let's kind of run through some. Let's talk about DeAndre Swift again.
Okay.
Because I think we have some new audience members here, and this is a fun possibility for Cleveland. So when the Lions took Jahmyr Gibbs at number 12, everyone immediately started speculating, what is the future of DeAndre Swift? Because I don't see him having a role in an offense that has Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, who they added in free agency.
Yeah.
Now, would Cleveland be interested? Jeremy Fowler from ESPN reported that the Lions have fielded a lot of calls on DeAndre Swift, and those are the stats. And I'm not going to read off the stats to you guys. He's a good receiving back. That is sort of what Cleveland needs right now, right? Who are you going to go to on 3rd and 5 when you're passing it and you want a running back in the flat? DeAndre Swift is a very good player in that role. I think there might be some underlying issues because, man, picking a running back at 12, either they think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the next Barry Sanders in the Motor City, or they are just fed up with DeAndre Swift for whatever reason. I don't know. But it makes you wonder, is there more to the player, and that's why maybe other teams won't be interested in him potentially? But you decide, do you guys think the Browns should trade for DeAndre Swift? Yes or no? I'll tell you right now, it's not going to cost much. I'm talking future 7th-round pick for DeAndre Swift. You're getting a running back who's got a big-ish contract. Like as far as rookie running backs go, rookie contracts, a 2nd-round pick. So he's not getting paid $850,000. You know what I mean? He's getting paid a little bit of nice money. So I think a future 7th would get it done. And honestly, if it happens, I'm not going to go in front of the camera and go like, this is the worst thing ever.
What's the status of Kareem Hunt right now?
He's a free agent, and it does not appear that there's going to be a reunion.
Okay.
So you could make Jerome Ford that role, and you picked Jerome Ford last year to kind of do this exactly. This was what Andrew Berry had in mind.
Yeah.
You'd have Kareem Hunt for one more season. Jerome Ford would take over. If you get DeAndre Swift, you sort of stunt Jerome Ford's growth, and you don't give him a nice runway to maybe become a future back on this team.
You also never want to say it, but what if Nick Chubb goes missing or something? It's not bad to have DeAndre Swift.
Agreed. And Nick Chubb has missed time before. He's not an Iron Man, unfortunately. He didn't miss any games last year, but the year before that, he did miss some time. So
would you rather draft a guy in the 6th or 7th? Or
that's kind of the question you're at, right?
Yeah.
Let's say it's this year's 7th-round pick.
Yeah, I'll throw up some of the best running backs remaining, too.
Would you rather draft a running back in round 7 or trade for DeAndre Swift? I think with the way this team is engineered right now, I'd take the proven commodity.
Yeah.
I think I'd go DeAndre Swift.
The only argument I would make is, like, I feel like, see, if it's one of these 4, you're taking these guys over Swift.
Yes.
100%.
But these guys are going to require a 3rd, a 4th, or a 5th-round pick.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe you do go running back in round 5. Right?
Could go a guy like Kendre Miller.
Right, Kendre Miller. Israel Abanikanda.
The dude out of Minnesota, Mohamed Ibrahim.
Yeah.
He's 25 coming off the torn ACL, but
He had
again,
20 touchdowns last year for Minnesota.
He's a freak, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
I like
he's
him.
a 6th, 7th round pick that you could really take.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Dan says best available with top pick tonight. So if that means an offensive tackle, are you going that route? Because there's a good chance that offensive tackle does not take a snap in 2023.
What about tight end? Could you see him going tight end?
So you have David Njoku. You signed Jordan Akins in free agency. And you have Harrison Bryant, who they might actually trade during the draft. I wouldn't be shocked if that's like a Troy Hill trade this year if a team misses out on a tight end. But I don't see them going tight end this year.
Yeah.
I think they like Akins. Maybe if there's a really good player that falls to them, that's not really in their plan if they say screw it. But I don't see tight end being up there high up. So do you want to go with DeAndre Swift or do you want to pick one of these guys? These are all day 3 players. Like, I'd be very surprised if Zach Evans or Kendre Miller go, maybe they go at the end of round 3, but they seem more round 4 to round 5 type players for me. Yeah. Keith saying need some cheaper O-line, can't keep paying $14 million for every spot on the line. You're absolutely right.
That's a good point.
I mean, you think about next year, right, in 2024, because you're locked in for this year.
Yeah.
You want to pick up Jed Wills' 5th year? Boom, that's a $15-ish million left tackle.
Yeah.
Joel Petonio at left guard, you're not getting out of his contract. Like, you could, but you're not going to because he's worth his contract. You just paid Ethan Posick 3 years, $18 million, so that's $6 million. Your cheapest player right now is a $6 million center.
Yeah.
That's a very expensive, cheap player.
Yes.
Your right guard, Wyatt Teller, he could be a cap cut because he seems to have peaked in 2020, and he was good last season. He was great last year. This year, the injuries, I wonder if he continues to slide down if the Browns decide to cut bait. So maybe they draft a guard this year, although guards are kind of easy to plug and play. Like, you can get a guard next year, and he can go in and go like, hey, can you work between Posick and Jack Conklin and just not be, a liability? Yes.
I feel
Thank
like
you.
Guards and running backs are the 2 positions you can just kind of.
Like, unless
and
you,
receiver.
the only reason you see guards go early is if they have some crazy speed that allows them to be like a great pulling guard. Quentin Nelson, Zach Martin, to just steamroll linebackers.
Yes.
If they're not steamrolling linebackers, like, hey, can you just not let the quarterback get sacked? You can get those guys in round 3.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I will not let the quarterback get sacked. I might not just bulldoze defensive tackles and linebackers, though, for running backs. That's what Joel Petonio and Wyatt Teller do.
Yeah.
But that's why you have to pay them premium money. So Keith saying cut Teller and Conklin, take advantage of our best coach, Bill Callahan. Yeah, I mean, Bill Callahan is one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL, if not the best. Conklin basically signed a 2-year extension. Just with how much guaranteed money's in the first 2 years of the 4. I think Conklin, and he's not getting paid all that much money. He's going to be the right tackle in 2023 and 2024. Probably get cut after that, though. Yeah. As for Teller, if he regresses or if he does not improve, I'll put it that way, he's cut. Like, that's just going to be, unfortunately, a cap casualty.
Dude, the Browns in the trenches this year are going to be, it's going to be a dog fight.
I mean, about the 9 players, right? 5 on offense, 4 on defense.
It's going to be a battle at practice.
The offensive line, maybe after the Eagles, is the best in football. And even the Eagles might have peaked last year.
Yeah, they're going to get a little older. I mean, Lane Johnson and Jason Kelce are going to have to take a step back.
At some point. Yes. So you have Petonio. He's a top 5 guard. Jed Wills, we bitch and moan over Jed Wills. He's a good left tackle.
Most teams would kill for a guy like Jed Wills.
Is he worthy of the 10th overall pick? Probably not. Would the Browns redo it if they could? Yes. Mm-hmm. Is he a bust? No. I mean, maybe because he was picked at 10, the expectations were here. But he's a good left tackle. Like, a lot of teams would like to have Jedrick Wills as their left tackle. Maybe not for what he's being paid, but he's a good left tackle. If that's your biggest issue, you are like a first world country complaining about your phone charger not being long enough. Yeah. That's the comp where it's like, boo-hoo. Go look at the Bears or the Broncos, the 2 most sacked teams in football last year.
You have a top 15 left tackle instead of a top 5.
Exactly. Yeah. And so Conklin at right tackle, he's a really good right. He's an all-pro. Like, he's got that level in him. So I like Conklin. I don't mind the re-signing there. Mick the Dog saying Siaki Ika, Baylor Ika is your 358-pounder who can still somehow make centers and guards miss one-on-one. He tallied a career-high 33 pressures in 2021. So, Mick, that's kind of the issues I have, is he's 358 pounds. He's a big dude. And big dudes sometimes don't need to fill out the stat sheet. They just got to let linebackers get into the backfield. But he's a big dude who can't play 3 downs. Not that all of them can, and it's not like any defensive tackle outside of a few really play almost every snap. But you got the liability. I have concerns with his regression from 2021 to 2022 and him just being a ginormous human being, right? And like maybe not the best athlete who can go 4 quarters into December, into January. I wonder if he's going to run out of gas when he's not going up against West Virginia guards and centers, but it's the Steelers' interior offensive line, the Bengals, the Ravens, and whatnot. AFC North teams that live for the trenches.
Oh, it's all trenches.
It's all trenches, baby. All right, Josh saying Harrison Bryant for DeAndre Swift. Both teams feel a need via trade. I mean, they did move on from T.J. Hawkinson.
Yeah.
I don't hate this idea at all, Josh.
I don't hate it.
I don't see why not.
Lions are probably going to draft a
You
corner.
should phone that into Berea right now. Get Andrew Berry on the line,
hit him up.
Josh.
Get his phone number.
Because that might be it. Lil Beam says, Browns get DeAndre Swift, Lions get Harrison Bryant, and a 5th. You don't even have to toss a 5th. Like
A 5th, just a 5th probably gets it.
I think player for player could get it done.
Yeah. I mean, the Lions.
Maybe the Browns send over a future 7th.
I think it's just going to come down to what other teams are obviously offering the Lions.
Yep. AFX Apocalypse, this has been the day we've been waiting for. Stetson Bennett time. It's officially Stetson Bennett watch. Will he get drafted?
Great day for you yesterday.
Oh,
Will
my
Levis
goodness.
Fallen is huge.
If you don't know, last year during the draft, I made a bet with Harrison Graham, our Bears guy here at Chat Sports, and I was like, just so you know, Stetson Bennett, he sucks, and he's not getting drafted next year.
Yeah.
And he looked at me like I had 4 eyes, and he was like, are you kidding me? He just won the national championship. He's coming back for another season. He is absolutely getting drafted. I'm like, you should watch him play football because he sucks at it. Now, he did improve this year. I will give him that
Did
at
win
Georgia.
another national championship.
Well, the rest of the team did. He's the mailman. But
he wasn't driving the bus.
with Will Levis and Hendon Hooker not going round 1, well, now they go to round 2. And maybe 2 guys that are supposed to be round 2
or maybe Hooker goes round 3.
go to round 3, right? Yeah. So if everyone gets pushed back a little bit, maybe guys that like, hey, we want to draft a quarterback in the 7th round. The only guys left are going to be Stetson Bennett. Well, now like Jaron Hall is there or something, right? Or Clayton Tune, Jay Kane, or whoever. Well, they're not going to be 7th round picks. But the point being is maybe everyone gets pushed down the line a little bit.
Yeah.
Stetson Bennett doesn't get
you got
drafted.
8 quarterbacks right here before him. Dude.
Yeah, I know. Like if a team was like, hey, we're going to take Stetson Bennett in round 7 unless Tanner McKee is there. Maybe Tanner McKee is now there because everyone else got shuffled down a little bit.
Yeah, I just don't know if somebody would just be like, yeah, he won 2 2 national championships. Let's just take a risk on him being a backup. But I don't know.
Off the field issues.
I know he's a bad dude, man.
No, I think if a team wants some priority UDFA.
Yeah.
Like remember, round 7, there was a lot of GMs calling players saying, we are going to sign you.
Sign you. Yeah.
Yep. And even like what's kind of interesting is like sometimes like a player, it's kind of weird. Like UDFA sometimes is even better than round 7 because you have the option of where you want to go.
True.
Right? You can sign where you want to sign.
Better, yeah.
So Stetson Bennett might go, don't draft me. I want to have my pick of the litter.
I'm
Let me pick between 3 teams. So wouldn't be shocked if that's the case.
I'm always curious with like late round quarterbacks, Petey. Like, would you rather go to a team where it's like you think you could beat him out for the starting job, or would you go to like a veteran, sit behind him, and maybe if he gets hurt, like kind of like Brock Purdy, what he did?
You know, I watched Chris Collinsworth's mock draft before the first round, and he had Kansas City going Hendon Hooker at 31. And at the surface, just reading that, I'm like, you're high. Jesus, Chris.
Yeah.
But at the other side, I listened to what he said, and he's like, the only thing that could ruin the Chiefs' season is if Mahomes misses time.
Yeah.
They don't need anything else, really. So if you can get the best backup quarterback in the NFL.
If you're that good
right.
as a team,
and you're like,
we need a backup.
Let's just get the best backup too. because, yeah, we can get a rotational edge rusher. But is he going to influence the season much? Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe he'll make one.
But if Mahomes gets hurt,
you're done.
You're done. Unless you have a backup like, hey, you got to start 4 games. Can you go 2-2?
Yeah.
Can you keep us in this mix?
I'm actually shocked the Chiefs didn't go your boy Jalen Hyatt. That's what I thought they were going to go.
Mick the Dog saying the guy I want, linebacker Trent Simpson. So Trent Simpson's a very good, well-rounded linebacker. He's great in coverage, if I remember correctly. Maybe not a crazy good pass rusher. We'll throw a scouting report up for you guys to see in a moment here. Trent Simpson could be a fun pick for Cleveland because this would be a pick for not just 2024, but I don't know who's going to be the starting 3 linebackers for this team week 1. Right? You have Walker coming off a torn quad, and you have Taki coming off a torn ACL from week 12. Something tells me they might start the camp on the PUP list. Here's the scouting report on Trent Simpson. He's a really good athlete with range and the ability to take on blockers in the run game. He tested very well as expected at the combine. Doesn't always have the best instincts, which shows up in zone coverage. Tom Downey has him as his second best linebacker behind Jack Campbell. Here are number 41 overall player. Second best now after Drew Sanders, right? Because Jack Campbell was 1. So Drew Sanders, he might be diet Micah Parsons. He had like 10 sacks for Arkansas last year.
Yeah, tons of tackles.
Very reminiscent of Anthony Barr, who you know quite well.
Yes, I actually love that comparison, Anthony Barr. But I just don't know. I just don't know how I feel about those in-betweeners.
I know, but
like
he's an in-betweener.
The goose, or what did you say? Not the goose and the horse.
The horse and the goose traits.
The horse and the
horse and the goose traits. Yep.
Yeah.
But he was Drew Sanders, a unanimous All-American.
Yeah.
Diane Henley, from Washington State, a very, very athletic linebacker. Dorian Williams. I know you've been looking at linebackers in Minnesota.
I like Dorian Williams.
Yeah.
Freaky athlete. Kind of reminds me of Tremaine Edwards.
Okay. Tremaine Edmonds or Edwards?
Edmonds.
Yeah. TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds.
Yes, both Bears.
Yeah. Okay, so horse and goose, we need rats. Let's see. Jeremy B. So many going to be pissed when we grab the DT from Baylor. Yeah. Like, I'm not a homer during draft picks, but, like, I try to be optimistic on picks. Mm-hmm. That's going to get a C- grade for me if they go Ika. Like, I do not want that to be the selection. All right, we've been hanging out with you guys for an hour and 3 minutes so far. Now, if we don't get some more Super Chats in, unfortunately, we have other studios or other teams trying to use these studios. So we got to kind of show our worth here at Chat Sports. And Super Chats are a good way to tell the bosses to bug off and go somewhere else. We'll try and keep going live for another 30 minutes or so, I think.
Yeah.
Really, as long as we can borrow Patrick Seatman's time here. But first time, Super Chatters are going to get a handwritten letter from me. So if you're watching right now and you're like, I've never Super Chatted before, today's a good time. Because you know what I'll do? The handwritten letter will be like a analysis or like my opinion of whoever Cleveland takes today.
Okay.
So a nice little personal, in-depth grade. Yeah. $10. I got the dog bowl here. We'll drink out of it. $20. A signed Big Ben crying picture will be sent to the Steelers. $50. We give out Browns player comps. Keith is our Myles Garrett sacking Big Ben after a generational performance he put up last week to defeat Steelers talk. And $100 is a Browns beer bong. So that is the Super Chat menu right now. We have 143 people watching. If you haven't liked the video, go ahead and do so. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and help the whole YouTube algorithm thing out. You want to run through some more like weigh-ins we got here and see what people want to talk about? Jersey Dog, what would it take to move up to the middle of the second? Need to get at least one starter out of this draft. I don't even know if you have to get one starter out of this draft. You have 21 starters right now. The last spot's defensive tackle. But to answer your question, what would it cost? The Browns have picks 74 and 98. If you bundle those, 74 and 98, you could probably get to around pick 55 to 60-ish, I think. It might cost a little bit more, like a future, like a 6 or something like that. But I think the range that the Browns wanted to trade up would be from like 58 to like 64. Like they could jump 15 spots by tossing in that 98th overall pick. If there's a team that just doesn't like what the board is looking like for them and they just want to move back and stockpile picks, like the Vikings, they only have 5 picks.
Yeah, they could be.
Right? The Dolphins have 4. Just teams like that. You know what I'm saying? They're like, we have a lot of needs right now. Let's get an additional third and let's move back. So we got Super Chat coming in from Joshua Miller. Which of the Big 5 QBs wins a Super Bowl first? Great question, Josh.
I love that.
Great question. So Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, Hendon Hooker. It's tough to answer without knowing which teams they're going to.
That's biggest.
Man, I do like what Houston is building.
Houston's never won a Super Bowl.
But they're never winning a Super Bowl. That's the issue.
Carolina's also never won a Super Bowl.
Carolina's been to 2 Super Bowls. Carolina's been to 2 Super Bowls.
They seem a lot more optimistic down there.
Yeah.
Than I think people. God, that's a good question. I'm trying to think about this.
What's going on, Hancock? Good to have you from across the pond.
I mean, the Colts.
I just don't think Richardson's going to be a good quarterback.
I mean,
Neither will Levis.
The run game that the Colts are going to have is going to be fun. Like the read options with Richardson and Taylor.
Yeah.
Like that'll be in Quentin Nelson and the boys. Like
I just love Hendon Hooker. I do.
What if Hendon Hooker? What is the?
I
best
wish
team,
the Browns needed a backup quarterback.
What is the best team Hooker could go to?
You know, the
I still
Saints,
think
I think, could be interesting.
But Derek Carr's going to be there for a couple years.
Yeah,
I still think
right.
it's Minnesota. I think the Vikings offer such a good landing spot for a young QB. Sit behind Kirk for a year. The fan base will love you. First
What
year,
if the Jets take him?
Jefferson.
Like, what if the Jets?
The Jets are another good
What
team.
if the Rams?
Rams are another sneaky team.
I think
to
the
get a
Rams
QB.
taking Will Levis has a lot of traction.
Oh my God, Will Levis is just a young, immature Stafford.
He is sort of Stafford.
Yeah,
He is Stafford, just 15 years younger.
yeah. More of a douchebag. than
Yeah, he's a bigger
Stafford.
douchebag for sure. So I think to answer your question, Bryce Young's really good at football.
I think he's gonna figure it out.
I think I might go Bryce Young if I had to pick one. Like, imagine if it's like, hey, Bryce Young, and they just get, I don't know, like, we're talking down the line here. But
The
they
whole thing
hit
is,
on
like,
some day 2 picks.
The AFC, man, like Stroud going to Carolina and Bryce Young going to Houston. He's gonna have to go against Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Herbert, Lamar,
It's a bad time to be an AFC quarterback, young in your career.
Watson. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like you have 6 unreal quarterbacks right there.
Trevor Lawrence?
Trevor, that's 7 younger quarterback. Those are the playoff spots for
Right.
the next.
Exactly.
Like, good luck getting in.
If you guys have any questions, you can super chat like Josh just did. We'll throw it on screen. We'll talk about it. So whether it's draft related, Browns related, whatever it may be, we can even kind of filter through some of the comments. But hey, if you super chat, guarantee a spot on screen. Josh, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's see. We got Jeremy Bertrand. Thoughts on Tucker Kraft, tight end from South Dakota State. Haven't done a ton of research on Tucker Kraft, if I'm being honest with you, because I just didn't think tight end is going to be a spot Cleveland attacks in this draft. Here's our scouting report on Tucker Kraft, though. He's a versatile player who lined up in line, out wide, and in the slot. Gifted athlete and great testing matches to play. Route running still remains raw at this point. If we're being honest at this point, any player from North Dakota or South Dakota, I'm starting to write off a little bit.
Ooh, you're going the opposite way.
I mean, like Carson Wentz sucks.
Yeah.
Trey Lance, feeling like a bust.
Feels like sucks.
Dallas Goedert went to South Dakota State.
Really?
He's good. Dallas Goedert's good. There are some other guys from like North Dakota and South Dakota. Oh, Dylan Raduns, if you remember him, he was a tackle who got drafted by the Titans. And they're like, he's a farm boy. He's going to push hay barrels and push people around. He's a backup interior
What about
offensive lineman.
Cody Mount.
He's going to suck too.
Think he's gonna suck?
Yeah, I do.
look like
I do
that.
not want to draft him. Passing on him every single step of the way. So we got Brent Payne. How are you, Brent? How are you doing, man? Good to be hanging out with the Dawg Pound, getting ready for day 2 of the draft. Let's kind of run through some of the best players available at the biggest positions of need for Cleveland. And if we don't get another super chat, we will sign off and see everyone later. I wanted to go live at some point during the draft to hang out with you guys and talk about day 2 because this is our day 1, right? This is our time to shine, baby. Yeah. We are finally invited to the party. More or less, it's like you went to the first night of the draft, you had bad directions, you missed it all together. Yeah. It's a 3-day party. Like, it's like going to Coachella or, Lollapalooza. Like,
This is one of the real diamonds in the rough.
It's like, yeah, you had, Kanye and the big headliners in the first day, but there are some good, like, Chance the Rapper before he became cool guys in round 2. You know what I mean? Foo Fighters, those types of things.
Foo Fighters.
So if they're going wide receiver, Tillman has a shot of being there at pick 74.
Out of these 4, would you take Tillman? I think I'd lean. I love
Like Downs and Hyatt and Scott, I think are just not going to be there.
Yeah.
So, like, fall in love with them, you're going to get your heart broken.
Yep.
Because I don't think they're going to be there. Marvin Mims, he could be that speed burner the Browns want to continue to add to their receiving room. The new trendy thing right now in the NFL is speed kills, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Henry Ruggs. But go get speedy wide receivers. So Marvin Mims fits that mold. 4.38 40. He's a burner. He's down the field. You get him, Elijah Moore, and DPJ for the next 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah.
That's a pretty fast wide receiver room for Deshaun Watson. A.T. Perry out of Wake Forest, he was Sam Hartman's go-to guy. He's not like a speed demon. He's just a really big-bodied, like
6'5".
Easy target to throw to. Put up 1,000 yards, great production. Tank Dell led all of FBS in receiving yards last year. He's got a really cool story. He's got good speed. He's got a lot of good physical traits. You just got to see him kind of expand his route running abilities and not be – he's not a one-trick pony, but maybe add a few more tricks to his bag, if you will. Jaden Reed from Michigan State, he's kind of the fun, like, sleeper pick a lot of people have.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan.
I'm not either, honestly. So, like, maybe if, like, round 4 I can get behind. Linebackers, I think they should go linebacker with one of their first 3 picks in this draft, right?
Dorian Williams is a fun guy. Keep your eyes on.
If Trent Simpson's there, you need to find like Anthony Walker and Taki signed 1-year deals. JOK has spent stints on IR through 2 seasons so far in the NFL. You need to find someone who can be more reliable, or not even find someone more reliable, but plan for injuries, and that includes getting depth at linebacker. We got another super chat from Joshua Miller. Mims replaces Moore when Moore replaces Coop. I like this logic, right? Amari Cooper probably playing his last year in Cleveland. Like, I hate to say that. Like, no one wants to hear that right now. It's downer talk. But he's got a big cap hit for the next year, and they could save a lot of money, and they need to do so. So if Elijah Moore becomes the number 1 wideout, Mims becomes the 2, or DPJ becomes the 1, whatever it is, you're going to have sort of like a really well-balanced, kind of like the Steelers with like Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Juju, type of like, who's your favorite? They all have different roles.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a basketball team. You got a point guard, you got a power forward, you got a shooting guard.
That's also why we were frustrated with the Quentin Johnson pick for the Chargers.
Because they have 3 small forwards.
3 small forwards.
They have 3 small forwards. They have no point guard. They have no shooting guard on that team. Josh, thank you so much for the super chat. Hey, if you want to keep the show going right now, we will not sign off if we continue to get super chats. We've got 130 people hanging out with us right now, 40 likes. Can we get to 50 likes? If we get to 50 likes, I'll crack open a beer and we'll do a dog bowl here. So we are 10 likes away. Hit that thumbs up button. Now, when it comes to safeties, I think that Grant Delpit could be next year's Julian Love, where he peaks at the end of his career, like at the end of his contract, and the Browns are like, we just can't afford to pay you what you can get elsewhere. And if he stinks, the Browns probably don't want to bring him back. He's approaching that no man's land, unless he's like an all pro. Right?
Yeah.
If he's a Pro Bowl, you're like, you figure out a way to get it done. But if they want to prepare for maybe his backup, Brian Branch, he's unlikely to be there. He's going to be a great football player. Antonio Johnson out of Texas A&M. Quan Martin from Illinois. And Jair Brown. I love Jamie Robinson. Tom Downey, our NFL draft expert, isn't as high as him as I am. But Jamie Robinson, that's our Vontae Mack for round 3.
Florida State guy.
Florida State guy. He's our pick at 98. Not 74. I think I want to go defensive tackle there. But 98, we're running it up. It's Jamie Robinson or we riot. That's just simply the way it's going to work. 2 likes away, by the way, from 50. There it is. Thank you so much for liking the video. Mountains are still blue. Love to see it. We'll crack open a cold one. We'll throw the Super Chat menu on screen as we kind of go from position to position for Cleveland's biggest needs right now. Cannonball coming. Soul Train's here. I don't care about the position anymore. Just get someone good. I agree.
Let's get a good football player.
Get best player available and pick 74. Like, you want to look back in this draft and go, the Browns got him at 74?
Yeah.
Not, well, the Browns passed on him because they really needed a defensive tackle. Like, yeah, but if there's a stud wide receiver, or if you think there is a franchise left tackle to be found in the 3rd round, green light for me. Go for it. Get good football players. The tackle is the only one that I hesitate about because unless an injury happens, he won't play at all this year. And maybe that's not the worst thing in the world, but when you've got a Super Bowl caliber roster, and that's not a stretch. Is that a stretch?
No.
Myles Garrett, Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb, Amari Cooper, like, that's a roster that if they win the Super Bowl, there's not going to be, like, Netflix 30 for 30s made or ESPN 30 for 30s.
It's not like
I'm
they're
like,
going to have like a bunch of random dudes
it's not,
step up. Like, you know who the guys are.
It's not Leicester City. You know what I mean? It's not that type of stretch. So I would like to see them find an impact player to help push them over the edge a little bit and provide some depth. And if an injury happens at the offensive line, you'll be happy that you drafted like Dawan Jones, for example, out of Ohio State. Blake Freeland, another guy here. Let's run through the top tackles remaining, if we could do that.
Tackles?
Yeah, tackles. Robert, what happened with Will Levis, he sucks. And I've been saying that for a long time. I remember saying back in the fall, Will Levis will get an NFL GM fired. All the GMs took heed of my direction and did not draft him 1st round.
Well, maybe they're not going to get fired now.
No, they won't
I
because
took him in the second.
you don't get fired over 2nd round picks.
Like, how could I not take him? He fell to the 2nd.
Right. I think Bergeron and Jones are going to be 2nd round guys.
Should be.
Now, Tyler Steen, he's kind of a good sleeper offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Nick Saldiveri, we talked about earlier, out of ODU.
Kuiper's really big on this Steen guy.
Yeah.
I don't really watch too much of him, but I like the Saldiveri guy. I mean,
Cool name.
I like Old Dominion, too. Like,
Cool name, unique school, great trivia.
yes.
When he is a Pro Bowl left tackle, does anyone know where he went to college? Oh, it's somewhere random.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's a weird school. You're never gonna guess it. Ty Man the Buckeye, what's up, Petey? I missed last week's live show. It was one for the ages. Shout out to Keith for that one and everyone else that helped make it one for the ages. Indeed, good to see you guys here. But I don't expect. If here's the dilemma that Andrew Berry might face. Let's say he's like, you know what? I want to get someone for 2023. I want to get a defensive tackle. I want to get a safety. I want to get a wide receiver. What if Dawan Jones or Matthew Bergeron is there at 74? And it's like, these two guys are better than A.T. Perry.
Yeah.
Do I do what I did last year and I pick Martin Emerson because I think he could be a really good player for our team down the line? Maybe.
You know how much fun it would be the NFL GM? It's even on day 2 how much fun being an NFL GM would actually be.
How much would you pay to
go
sit in a war room?
Oh, I'd pay a lot of money.
I would love to see what goes on.
Just be a fly on the wall.
Exactly. Just sit there. I would help myself to the buffet. Get a little plate.
Elite buffet.
Unbelievable spread.
Yes, you always notice the buffet.
Oh, yeah.
What about Jerry Jones? That little Darth Vader type of war room that he
I'll
has?
tell you, Jerry Jones's war room kind of reminds me of the movie Zero Dark 30 when they're all like in the president's like cabinet war room and they're getting the word from the Navy SEALs, Osama's been killed.
Yeah.
That's Jerry Jones' war room, where it's like they're all sitting around the big table. It's not like the big like with rows of seating type of war room.
Do you think like it's kind of like Jerry? All right, what are your guys' thoughts? And then everybody's kind of like scared to like say like they like a guy like that.
It's
Jerry
a pretty
might
group
not
effort
like.
in Dallas. You have Jerry, his son. You have the head coach, whoever that might be at the time.
Yeah.
Like it's a collaborative effort, and the Cowboys are good drafters.
Very good draft, especially first round.
And they don't pick early first round. Like
No.
Dallas is not picking 9.
Them getting Micah Parsons at 11 feels like
Yeah.
Trayvon in second round. Like
BK Brown, Hope Brown's draft Toa. He was surrounded by playmakers. Yeah, Henry Toa from Alabama was just unbelievably productive in 4 seasons. So, yeah, I do not hate that pick at all. Okay. We got a super chat coming in from Zach Schaefer, and I think this will be our last super chat unless we get one in the next 90 seconds or so. Well, that's a short timeline, the next few minutes. But just a $2 super chat from Zach Schaefer. Zach, thank you very much for supporting the show. Shout out to you. Super chat menu, I just got the word from the bosses to try and wind this thing down as we have some other NFL channels that need to get their draft content out for the day. Clap it up for Patrick Seaman taking time out of his day to hang out with us here. Let's end with this right now. Just gun to your head. You're probably going to die because of it now. Okay. Who are the Browns taking at 74, everyone? That is the question for the classroom. Who are they going with?
I'm going to go 74, Kobe Turner.
Kobe Turner? I'm thinking they might do Marvin Mims.
Marvin Mims.
$10 super chat from Jeremy. That's what I'm talking about, Jeremy. Thank you so much, Jeremy. This will be the last super unless another one follows in, and then we'll have to sign off afterwards. Jeremy, do you think the Browns may trade any more picks for players? I know that they are interested in edge rushers. And if good edge rushers are not there at 74, like Tuli Tuipulotu, Zach Harrison, Isaiah Foskey, if those guys are gone, do they then opt to trade for an edge rusher? Do they then pick up the phone and say, let's get Montez Sweat? Because our top draft targets are gone.
You think the Browns need one?
It's weird.
Is it more of a want?
When they signed Obo Okoronkwo, I was one of the only people that wasn't like jumping up and down. So I'm like, this is not a household name. Let's not all pretend like he's been our dream free agent target for months now. I think he's got a lot of good pressures and good stats you look for, but like, is he going to be an every down pass rusher? I don't think so. So maybe they want to bring on a veteran guy and make a rotation opposite of Myles Garrett. Jeremy, if I had to answer your question with a yes or no, no. I don't think they do.
No,
I don't think they do.
Maybe though. I mean,
maybe they trade players for picks.
Yeah.
Harrison Bryant could be one for sure. Jordan Elliott. Oh, we got a first-time super chatter from Greg Carr. Thank you, Greg. That warrants a handwritten letter. We'll put my Twitter handle at the bottom if that's okay, Seeps.
Yep.
Joshua Miller, though, with a $2 super. Bijan Robinson, plus top 3 wide receiver, plus Jay Allen equal. Okay. Bijan Robinson plus a top 3 wide receiver and Josh Allen fantasy winner. Probably.
Yeah, I wonder how much Bijan's going to get. Like how much tick he's going to get in Atlanta.
I know. Maybe this year it's a little bit less with Cordell Patterson still there for one more year.
Algier.
Yeah. But you
again,
don't pick 8 overall and give him 10 carries a game.
I was going to say Algier and Patterson can kind of.
Bijan's going to be my second-round pick in fantasy football this year.
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, that's great.
Josh, thank you for your super chats today. You're the legend. Greg Carr with a first-time super chatter. Hit me up on Twitter, Greg, at Matthew Petey. If you'd like to get a handwritten letter about the Browns draft picks, I'll write that on like Sunday or Monday when the draft is over and mail it to you. A little surprise in the mailbox. End of 2023 season, which wide receiver has most touchdowns? I'm going to go with Amari Cooper still. He had 9 last year, if I remember correctly, with Jacoby Brissett. Makes you wonder, a full offseason of Deshaun Watson getting the first-team reps with the wideouts, what kind of connection they could develop right there. So I'll go with the chalky answer and say Amari Cooper. I think that's my That's my answer.
Coop's going to enter in his Adam Thielen phase of his career. He's an elite red zone guy.
Yep. Dog bowl indeed. Jeremy, you pointed out. Wow.
Shout out Jeremy.
Shout out to Jeremy.
Shout out Greg Carr. We appreciate it as well.
Thank you for the super chat. Hit me up on Twitter. I'll shoot you a handwritten note. Just let me know where to send it. Okay. Jeremy, thank you guys so much for all the super chats. We are going to sign off at this point. Patrick, appreciate you hanging out with us here.
Anytime.
We're going to have pick-by-pick analysis for Cleveland in rounds 3 today, so buckle up. Enjoy round 2. I don't think the Browns are going to do anything in round 2, but hey, you never know. And if they trade up and make a selection, we'll be there. So with that being said, we'll sign off. We'll see everyone later. Enjoy day 2 of the NFL draft, and go Brownies.